So we found out that Shedeur Sanders done got caught speeding a couple of times, I believe, since he has gotten to the Browns. One of them, he was driving in the 90s. Another one, he was driving 101 miles an hour. And I believe, Ryan, that there was a missed court date.
Yeah, I believe the timeline is go in 90, miss the court date, win 100.
Come on, man. So there's two levels of this for me, right? The miss the court date is come on, man, right? And that is honestly the part to me that if I am the Browns, that's the one where I'm really, really, really like, you have the right to wag your finger at him if you're the Browns about missing the court date. Like that is irresponsible in a way that you cannot simply write off to youth or immaturity, right? You are a quarterback in the NFL. You got to go to court. You can't forget this. I don't care how old you are. You are in a grown man's game, a grown man's world, a grown man's life, okay? You can't miss the court date, okay? Even if you want to simply make the argument that he got caught slipping for driving as fast as he did, you can't miss the court date. That's it. Okay. And I don't think there's much more that somebody like me can say about that. Everything there is self-evident. It does not make him a bad person, but that was just like that was a silly, childish move for you to make at a point in your life where you cannot do silly, childish things. You just can't, right? But the other part I want to talk about is the speeding itself, because I have overwhelmingly, in the response to this, seen people who have, I feel like, preemptively responded to a backlash that hasn't truly come. I could be missing it, and if I am, that's fine. Please feel free to correct me, but I haven't seen that many people truly hammering Shedeur for the speeding itself. I have not seen that, but I've seen people. I saw Stephen A. Smith and a couple other people on the, you act like you ain't never speeded before. You act like you ain't never driven too fast, You know, like I saw Stephen A. on TV and he was talking about him speeding and going to work and something like how glad he is that that the cops haven't been around him when he's been speeding. Or a time he was speeding because he had to go to the bathroom and he was glad the cops didn't stop him because he wasn't going to make it and and all of this stuff. And hey, you get caught going 70 and a 55, you're right. You know, that could happen to the best of us. Players fuck up too. You go on 101 and a 65. We're talking about something entirely different. And look, I understand, man. He driving a fancy car. That buck 01 probably don't even feel like no 101. I get that. I do. I, however, view this through a much different lens than I think I have seen people talk about this. And to me, the discussion to have with Shedeur Sanders about speeding is this one. Like, this is what I would say if I knew him. Okay, and if we had some sort of relationship or whatever it is, or it came to a place where I had to talk to him, I would say this to him. I don't have that many things that I look back on from when I was younger and just be like, man, you was tripping. I don't have that many of them. But I used to drive really fast in different places. Got my tickets, all of that stuff. But I used to drive really, really fast. And really fast in places where it probably didn't make sense to drive really fast. And I look back on it and like, I can think about some of those times and I can actually get a little bit emotional because it was so stupid. Like, I had no appreciation at the time for like how much I was putting my actual life in danger. You know what I mean? Like, how many things could have possibly happened or gone wrong, or somebody pull up short, or somebody come over here, or it's a traffic jam up there and I don't know it or whatever it is, and I hit these brakes late, or all of this is, I did not, in spite of all these people dying in car accidents, and maybe it's about, the idea of like the invincibility that you feel being a young person, so forth and so on. I don't know. But I can just look and see so many times where I'm like, that could have been your day. Like driving on the freeway and catching a blowout and stuff like that. Hey, man, that could have been your day. For what? Because you're late? You see what I'm saying? And in these cases, I don't even think he was late to anything. He was just driving fast, right? But think about how often we are willing to die behind running late. I mean, it really is that simple. It really and truly is that basic. You running late. You go and you do all of this, and it feels good to drive fast or whatever, and everything else, but it is just not working. It isn't. Now, Shedeur, it seems like, is a clean living young man. So the other lecture that I would give him doesn't work, which is, hey, man, they always trying to get in your car and look around. Don't give them no reason. They might find something, But take care of yourself. Like if I were Dion or anybody else that's around him, my thing wouldn't have been, hey, man, everybody speeds every now and then. It ain't that big a deal. Nah, brother, it's a big deal. It's not a big deal that requires me to moralize or to wag my finger at you. It's to let you know that Henry Ruggs thing, that could be you, man. And obviously, the difference between Henry Ruggs and Shedeur Sanders is the drinking element of it, right? But that's if you're looking at it through the lens of moralizing. Like a big part of why we're so hard on people for DUI is because I think that we as a society are consistently looking for ways to rationalize our own drinking. And so you put these parameters on what is responsible drinking. And then the responsible drinkers get to chastise the other drinkers for doing it wrong. I think that's a big part of it. But in the end, now, Ruggs was driving like a $150. Like, I mean, that's NASCAR shit. But in the end, you driving way too fast. And if you're drunk, your reaction time is cut down. You're driving 100 miles an hour. Your ability to react, that time is cut down too. The bottom line of it is, it's still just unnecessarily unsafe. And if you say you love him or that you care about him, even if you're talking about it in the parasocial ways that people do on the internet, then what you're not doing is saying, well, what about such and such? And what you're saying is, I'm glad the cops got him instead of an ambulance. I'm glad the police got him instead of a medic, right? I am glad he got pulled over instead of getting flipped over. Because any of those things I talked about are reasonable circumstances when you're driving 100 miles an hour. All of them are. And that's before we get to the idea of, rich black ass driving your fancy ass car getting pulled over by the police. I know we don't really be talking about that stuff anymore, but aside from you don't want them looking in your car, you also don't want them getting nervous about you. That cop pulled up and was like, license and registration, and I was thinking the whole way, man, please tell him everything you do before you do it so there ain't no misunderstandings. You know what I mean? Like, it's just such a range of things that could possibly go wrong. And so we don't have to turn this into a polarized and sports radio topic. But I admit on my end, it makes me think about what are the things that have happened in my own life and how much differently those things could have gone. And when I look at young people, like, the message you got to give them about that speeding is, hey, man, this kills people, right? Kills them. Henry Ruggs was just at some event this week where he apologized to the family of the woman, that he killed, and was just talking about how he wishes they knew a different person or whatever. And I'll make this point about Ruggs, just to throw this out there. I met somebody the week of that accident at an event I did in Atlanta. And this gentleman taught, Ruggs is from Montgomery, Alabama, and he taught Ruggs in high school. And he told me, you have no idea what it took for him to get to where he was, that he had to do everything right to get as far as he did. And then you see what happened. And Ruggs talked about how he felt like he was a person who was trying to escape in that time. But it took that much for him to get to where he was. And being a dumbass that one night, look at what happened. Killed somebody, wound up in jail, all of those things. All that for being a dumbass that one night. The one thing that you don't ever want to have to talk about in your life is something that stays with you forever and ever just because you was being stupid one night. You know what I mean? And so I hope for Shedeur's case that he don't wind up in those situations where it ever comes up like that, where that happens. But when it comes to these topics, like I said before, we fill in our show runs, man. We don't have that much to talk about. And so that is a topic that becomes one. I could talk about this in the context of the Browns and da-da-da. And I mean, I did that a little bit early, but nah, that's not the big one to me. I see this and I see myself as a young person. And I see how easily I could wind up not just the situation that he was in, but a worse one. And I hope that that's the part that somebody imparts to him, because that's a part that really ain't got nothing to do with playing football.